Imagine the quiet of your kitchen in the morning, the gentle clink of a spoon, the aroma of coffee, the simple ritual of starting your day. This is a place of comfort, of nourishment. But what if, within this routine, within the very meals you prepare with love and care, there existed an invisible threat, a microscopic danger that you can't taste, can't see, and can't smell? A stealthy contaminant that over time could quietly enter your body and begin to chip away at your health. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that invisible world. You're about to discover how some of the most common foods you buy, the staples you eat every single day, are silently carrying hidden contamination. We'll expose the findings of scientific studies, the details of government recalls, and the global investigations that have shattered the illusion of food safety. And by the time we finish, you'll understand how to make simple, powerful choices that can protect you and your loved ones from these unseen dangers. This is a story that begins not in a distant lab or a remote farm, but on your dinner plate with something as simple as seafood. We've been told for decades that fish is a vital part of a healthy diet, and we dutifully buy it, cook it, and serve it to our families. But a groundbreaking 2025 study from Portland State University has revealed a shocking truth hiding within our oceans, and consequently within our seafood. Researchers analyzed over 180 samples of common supermarket seafood, from fish fillets to shrimp. What they found was almost unbelievable. 180 out of the 182 samples contained microplastics. That is a staggering 99%. These weren't large, visible pieces of plastic, but tiny, insidious fibers from clothing and packaging, invisible to the naked eye, embedded deep within the meat itself. Some samples held up to 1,800 microplastic particles. This is more than an environmental issue. It is a health crisis unfolding on our plates. Studies are now linking the ingestion of these particles to serious health risks, including heart problems, hormonal disruption, and even the terrifying specter of cancer. Yet, in a twist of profound irony, researchers are still advising people to eat fish because the alternatives we have also carry similar contamination risks. The simple fact that plastic is now a permanent part of what we eat is a sobering reality, a wake-up call that our planet's pollution has come home to roost, right in the center of our plates. From the sea, let's turn to a food that is a foundation of diets around the world: rice. You probably eat it a few times a week, if not every day. A seemingly pure and simple grain, it is a source of comfort and sustenance for billions. But rice has a hidden vulnerability. It turns out that rice is uniquely efficient at soaking up heavy metals from the soil and water where it's grown. Specifically, two of the most dangerous, arsenic and cadmium, are absorbed at a far higher rate by rice than by any other common grain. A comprehensive 2025 report tested 145 different rice brands and found arsenic in every single one. What's more, many of the brands tested exceeded safety recommendations for regular consumption. The danger is not uniform. Brown rice, often praised as the healthier choice, actually contains significantly higher levels of arsenic than white rice. Recent research from Michigan State University confirms that brown rice increases arsenic exposure compared to white rice, with concerning implications for regular consumers. This poses a serious concern for young children under the age of 5 and for pregnant women, two of the most vulnerable groups to these toxins. Health agencies are now giving us specific guidance to mitigate this risk. They recommend thoroughly rinsing your rice and cooking it with extra water, which can reduce the arsenic content by up to 60%. While this process might come at the cost of a few nutrients, it's a necessary step in an increasingly contaminated world. The knowledge that a simple cooking method can make your food safer is both empowering and deeply unsettling.
Now, let's consider the ultimate convenience food, the bag of frozen vegetables, corn, peas, a mixed blend that you keep in your freezer for quick dinners. We rely on them to be a safe, healthy, and easy addition to any meal. But in August 2023, a major recall was launched after tests found the insidious bacteria Listeria in frozen vegetables sold through some of the largest supermarket chains. Listeria is a quiet killer. It doesn't make food look or smell bad, so there are no warning signs. But the sickness it causes, listeriosis, can be life-threatening. What makes it even more terrifying is its long incubation period. It can take up to 70 days for symptoms to appear, making it incredibly difficult to trace the source of the infection. Companies like Food Lion and Kroger were forced to pull affected products from shelves across dozens of states, issuing warnings to consumers to throw out everything in their freezers. The advisory was particularly urgent for vulnerable groups like pregnant women, new parents, grandparents, and those who work in kitchens or prepare meals. For a pregnant woman, listeriosis can result in a tragic stillbirth. This recall was a powerful reminder that convenience and cold temperatures are not a guarantee of safety. You may believe that your food safety risks stop at the supermarket. But the truth is, for many of us, the greatest danger begins in the packaging itself. A groundbreaking 2024 study published in Environmental Science and Technology uncovered 68 different PFAS chemicals in everyday food containers. We call them forever chemicals for a reason. They don't break down. They are a permanent fixture in our environment and, as it turns out, in our food. Researchers found them in plastic wrappers, coated paper, cardboard boxes, and even in molded fiber, compostable bowls. The most disturbing finding? Many of these PFAS were not even supposed to be in food packaging in the first place. And of the ones they did find, only 57% had been tested for toxicity. Yet many of them are known to be linked to devastating health problems, including cancer, thyroid disease, liver damage, and a diminished immune response. For years, we've been grabbing meals from packaging that we now know silently leaks these forever chemicals into our food. Regulators in both the US and the European Union are now calling for outright bans on some of these chemicals. But for countless meals, for years on end, we have been caught in a regulatory gap, exposed to a threat that we are only now truly beginning to understand. If you've watched this far, hit like and subscribe for future in-depth stories on food safety. Let's get smarter, one meal at a time. The microscopic threats we've just uncovered are not a few isolated incidents. They are a symptom of a larger systemic breakdown. Our meals have become more dangerous because of a perfect storm of globalization, hyper-industrialized farming, supply chain shortcuts, and, in far too many cases, weak regulation and lax oversight. Persistent chemicals slip through the cracks of a regulatory system that is often a decade behind the science. Some factories, as we've seen, ignore the early warning signs of contamination. Some food labels don't disclose the ingredients, additives, and processing methods that matter most. And as consumers, we have been conditioned to assume that if a food is sealed and doesn't look or smell bad, it must be safe. We also mistakenly believe that a recall is an instant fix that can eliminate every risk. The reality, as we've seen, is far different. But despite all of these hidden threats, there is hope. And in just a moment, I am going to show you 3 surprising, simple tricks that can cut your exposure to these contaminants significantly right now in your own kitchen. But before we get there, let's continue to uncover the full scope of the problem. Right now, you may be holding a bag of lettuce or grabbing a granola bar, but in 2024, multiple E. coli outbreaks were traced to leafy greens, affecting numerous states. People were sickened after eating contaminated lettuce at restaurants and from store-bought products. This bacteria, a persistent killer, survived not only chilling temperatures, but also the standard cleaning protocols for washed leaves. Once these pathogens enter the system, they can hide in microscopic crevices where they will escape normal cleaning. And the information gap is a silent accomplice. Recall notices are posted online, but there is no requirement to blast out text messages or paste warning labels on the actual packages you already have at home. This delay, this lack of immediate widespread information, is a critical weakness that allows infections to continue long after a recall has been issued. You might be drinking a beer thinking you're cutting a few calories with a light version, but what if you're getting a mouthful of forever chemicals at the same time? A study published in 2025 by RTI International analyzed 23 different beers and found PFAS levels in 22 of them. That's 95%. Some brewed near polluted water sources had levels that exceeded safety recommendations. Health experts are now sounding the alarm. PFAS intake is tied to cancers, birth defects, and chronic kidney disease. This revelation underscores a chilling truth. Our food and drink are only as safe as the water, the soil, and the air from which they are sourced. It tells us that our safety is directly tied to the health of our planet.
So with all of this knowledge, what can you do? Wait until I show you the single most effective home strategy to reduce plastic, metal, and chemical exposure, all without throwing out all your groceries. But in the meantime, here are a few things you can start doing right now to reduce the risk in your kitchen. When it comes to seafood, you can rinse it, drain it thoroughly, and if possible, choose to buy from vendors who have better plastic filtering practices. For rice, the solution is in the preparation. Rinse, soak, and then boil it in plenty of water, draining it well at the end. You can also be strategic with your purchasing, choosing basmati, which are known to have lower arsenic levels. And for infants, health agencies recommend using fortified whole grains instead of rice cereals. You can also make a habit of looking up recall notices online weekly, especially for frozen vegetables and nut-based spreads. If a product has a suspected recall code, it needs to be thrown out. And when it comes to packaging, if you're eating from shiny paper cups, compostable bowls, or coated cardboard, transfer the food to a glass or stainless steel container before you eat it. It's also about where you choose to spend your money. Buy from companies that are transparent about their testing or have third-party certifications, especially for heavy metal screening. And support any local efforts that push governments to regulate PFAS and heavy metals in our food supply. Now, here's the part you've been waiting for. The one item many of you have in your fridge right now that we haven't covered in depth yet, but that can carry surprising contamination. It's that innocent-looking jar of honey. Yes, honey. We think of it as a natural, wholesome product, but research has shown that honey can contain heavy metals like lead and cadmium, particularly from regions with environmental pollution or industrial activity. The levels vary significantly depending on the source location and local environmental conditions. Many consumers prefer honey for its natural or organic label, but unfortunately, environmental contaminants can still find their way into even the purest sources through soil and water contamination. To reduce your risk, choose raw honey from trusted local beekeepers who test their products and avoid honey from regions known for heavy industrial activity or mining.
In this world where our food touches plastic, our soil becomes part of global trade, our water is sourced from polluted regions, and our packaging leaks forever chemicals, our meals have come to us with unseen dangers. But as you've just learned, knowledge is power. If you check recalls, share rice cooking tips, demand safer packaging, and shop with care, you are doing more than just protecting your own family. You are strengthening a movement for safer food for everyone. At the end of this video, I'll provide a checklist you can screenshot and use in your kitchen every week. And in the description, you'll find links to all the sources we discussed, so you can see the studies yourself. Let me leave you with this. Every time you rinse rice, choose a clean container, check your food recall email, or pressure a big producer for better standards, you're turning a small gesture into a major shift. Imagine millions of families across nations doing those same things. That's how food contamination becomes food accountability, and how healthy meals, free from invisible harm, become the norm.
If you've watched this far, hit like and subscribe for future in-depth stories on food safety. Let's get smarter, one meal at a time. Thank you for watching.